Your doctor has almost certainly never sat down with you and walked through which snacks actually help your kidneys. I want to tell you why, because the reason explains everything. The average kidney appointment lasts about 12 minutes. There's a billing code for writing a prescription. There's a billing code for ordering a scan. But there is no billing code for the 10 quiet minutes it would take to explain what you should be reaching for at 3 in the afternoon. So that conversation gets cut every time. It's one of the most useful conversations that never happens. I'm Dr. William. In 20 years of internal medicine, I've sat across the desk from hundreds of patients over 60, watching their creatinine numbers creep upward on a lab printout while they felt like there was nothing they could personally do about it. There is something you can do. Today, I'm giving you 5 ordinary snacks, the kind already sitting on the shelves of any grocery store you shop at. I'll explain exactly why each one works, down at the level of the microscopic filters inside your kidneys. I'll show you how to prepare each one so it helps rather than harms. And I'll point out the snacking mistakes I see careful, well-meaning people make every week without realizing it. At least half of what you're about to hear, I'd guess you've never heard before. Before we go any further, I want to be straight with you because you've been sold things before by people online. I am not going to tell you these 5 snacks will cure your kidney disease, reverse it, or erase years of damage. That would be a lie, and you'd be right to stop listening. What I'm telling you is quieter and more honest than that. The food you choose, prepared the right way, genuinely changes how hard your kidneys have to work. And a kidney working a little less hard holds its ground a little longer. I'm not selling anything. This is basic physiology, consistent with kidney nutrition guidance from major academic medical centers and national kidney health organizations. Let me tell you who this is for. If your last lab work showed creatinine drifting past 1.2 or 1.5 or higher, if a doctor has said the words stage 3 to you, maybe even stage 4, if you're up 2, 3, 4 times a night to use the bathroom and you've started dreading it, this is for you. Here's the plan. In the next 90 seconds, I'll explain what creatinine actually is and why it climbs. Once that clicks, every one of these 5 snacks will make sense on its own. Then we'll go through them one at a time. By the end, you'll know exactly what to buy this week, how to prepare it, and you'll understand your own lab report better than you ever have. Creatinine is a waste product. Every time your muscles do their work, they burn a fuel called creatine, and creatinine is what's left over. It travels through your bloodstream until your kidneys filter it out and send it into your urine. In a healthy body, it's produced continuously and cleared continuously, which keeps blood levels low and steady. That filtering happens through roughly 1 million microscopic structures in each kidney called nephrons. When nephrons are damaged by years of elevated blood sugar, blood pressure that ran high for too long, or the slow march of chronic kidney disease, filtering slows down. Your body keeps producing creatinine at the same rate, but it's no longer cleared as fast as it's made. It backs up in the bloodstream. That's when you start seeing numbers like 1.5, 1.8, 2.0, and rising. Here's the part that changes everything. That number doesn't only reflect how damaged the filters are. It also responds to 2 things you influence every single day: how much waste you're asking your kidneys to clear in the first place, and how much ongoing damage those filters take on from inflammation and poor blood vessel health. Each snack on this list works on one of those 2 levers: less waste to filter, less damage to the filters. That's the whole game, and your fork is one of the few places you actually get a vote. This is the snack I recommend to nearly every kidney patient I see, and when I ask if they eat it, almost none of them do. I already know the objection, because I hear it weekly. Doctor, grapes are loaded with sugar, and I'm watching my blood sugar. Stay with me, because the real answer is more interesting than a flat yes or no. Red grapes contain a natural compound called resveratrol. You've probably heard it mentioned alongside red wine. What the wine labels never tell you is that the resveratrol in whole grapes is far more useful to your body than anything delivered through alcohol. and alcohol is the last thing a struggling kidney needs more of. Inside the kidneys, resveratrol helps calm oxidative stress, the cellular wear and tear caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. In damaged kidneys, this wear happens faster than it should, gradually adding scar tissue to the nephrons year after year. Resveratrol, acting as an antioxidant, helps slow that process down. The skin of the grape adds another layer of protection, containing flavonoids like quercetin and anthocyanins, the same pigments behind the deep red-purple color. Early research links these compounds to reduced protein leakage into the urine. If you've ever been told you have protein in your urine or noticed foamy urine in the toilet, that foam often means protein is slipping through filters that should be holding it back. Then there's a benefit the wine articles never mention. Red grapes are naturally low in potassium. A half-cup serving has only about 88 milligrams. Compare that to a single banana, which carries more than 400. For someone with stage 3 or 4 kidney disease, that gap is enormous. Damaged kidneys struggle to clear excess potassium, and elevated potassium can interfere with your heart's rhythm. A fruit that's naturally sweet, satisfying, and still gentle on potassium is genuinely rare. Choose fresh whole red grapes. Wash them well, refrigerate them, and eat about half a cup, roughly 15 to 20 grapes, as a mid-morning or mid-afternoon snack. Here's a tip almost nobody teaches. Pair that half cup with a little protein, a few unsalted walnuts, or a small piece of low-sodium cheese. The protein slows how quickly the natural sugar hits your bloodstream, so you get the resveratrol benefit without a sugar spike. Don't swap in grape juice. Juicing strips the fiber and concentrates the sugar. And don't reach for raisins. Drying grapes concentrates their potassium up to around 750 milligrams in just a quarter cup, turning a kidney-free food into a kidney problem. Stick with fresh red grapes rather than green ones. Green grapes carry far less of the beneficial pigment. Here, the color is part of the medicine. Has a doctor ever told you to cut back on protein because of your kidneys? If so, listen closely, because getting this wrong can hurt you two different ways. Too much of the wrong protein forces a struggling kidney to work harder. Too little protein of any kind causes you to lose the muscle that keeps you steady on your feet and protected from falls. Egg whites strike the right balance. When your body breaks down protein, it creates waste, including urea, which shows up on lab work as blood urea nitrogen. A struggling kidney has to work harder to clear it. Years ago, standard advice was simply to slash protein intake to reduce that workload. But that advice created a different problem. People over 60 are already losing muscle every year through a natural process called sarcopenia. And here's the twist that surprises even some physicians. When you lose muscle, creatinine readings can look better than they should because creatinine itself comes from muscle. A frail, fall-prone body is more dangerous than a lab number alone can show. The smarter answer is choosing a protein your body can use almost completely, leaving very little waste behind. That's exactly what egg whites offer. They have one of the highest biological values of any dietary protein. Your body uses nearly all of it, leaving minimal cleanup work for your kidneys. Less leftover waste means less strain, which matters a great deal when your bun is already elevated. There's a second advantage for anyone in stage 3 or 4. Egg whites contain almost no phosphorus. Phosphorus is a mineral damaged kidneys struggle to remove, and as it builds up, it weakens bone and stiffens blood vessels. Nearly all of an egg's phosphorus lives in the yolk, so eating just the whites gives you premium protein with almost none of that burden. Scramble 2 or 3 egg whites in a little olive oil, no added salt, seasoned with fresh herbs like parsley or chives. Or hard-boil whole eggs and discard the yolks. If you buy cartons of liquid egg whites, check the label. Some brands add significant sodium. Look for less than about 100 milligrams per serving. The most common mistake is eating one lonely egg white and calling it a snack. Aim for 10 to 15 grams of protein per sitting, usually 3 to 4 egg whites. One caution: if you're in advanced kidney disease progressing towards stage 5, your protein needs become highly individual. Work directly with your kidney specialist on the right amount. For most people in earlier stages, though, smart protein choices like this one are a genuine benefit. This one will surprise you. It surprised about half of my colleagues, too. Potatoes are the food nearly every kidney diet handout tells you to cross off. I'm telling you to put them back on, and it comes down to one preparation method that's sat in nutrition textbooks for decades without ever reaching real patients. Potatoes get restricted because they're high in potassium. That part is true. But potassium has a property most people never learn. It's water soluble. That means a large portion of it can be physically removed before you ever eat the potato. Kidney dietitians call this technique leaching. Peel the potatoes and slice them thin, about 1/8 of an inch. Thinner slices expose more surface area. Soak the slices in a large pot of warm water for at least 4 hours, changing the water once halfway through. Drain, rinse thoroughly, and cook in fresh, unsalted water. Done properly, this removes roughly 30 to 50% of the potato's potassium, leaving it behind in the water you pour out. It doesn't remove all of it. A leached potato still contains potassium, so this isn't a free pass to eat unlimited amounts. But it turns a high potassium food into a moderate one that many people with stage 3 kidney disease can enjoy with their doctor's approval. Yes, crackers would be easier. But sticking with a kidney diet long-term is largely about quality of life. A warm, filling, easy-to-chew potato is satisfying in a way a rice cake never will be. And when people feel deprived, they abandon the diet altogether, which does far more harm than a carefully prepared potato ever could. Leach 2 small potatoes as described, boil them in fresh water, then lightly mash with a drizzle of olive oil, a little fresh rosemary, and a squeeze of lemon. Keep servings to about half a cup. Don't microwave the potato and assume it's equivalent. Microwaving cooks it but removes none of the potassium. The slicing, soaking, and boiling are what matter. And don't swap in a sweet potato thinking it's the healthier choice. A medium sweet potato carries more than 500 milligrams of potassium, and without the same leaching process, it isn't the safer option. A kidney diet and a general healthy diet aren't the same thing, and confusing the two can cause real harm. This is a snack I recommend to nearly every kidney patient, regardless of stage, and the reasons go well beyond what's printed on a standard kidney diet sheet, the basics. Cauliflower is naturally low in potassium, at about 150 milligrams per half cup serving, and it's also low in phosphorus and sodium, while offering a good amount of vitamin C and folate, nutrients that kidney patients, especially those on dialysis or strict diets, often run low on. But here's the part you won't hear in the produce aisle. Cauliflower belongs to the cruciferous vegetable family, alongside broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. These vegetables contain a compound called indole 3-carbinol, which your body converts into a compound researchers commonly call DIM. Early research suggests DIM may help calm inflammation by influencing one of the body's central inflammatory signaling pathways. Inflammation matters here because in chronic kidney disease, a low-grade, persistent inflammation is one of the reasons creatinine keeps climbing even in people who otherwise feel fine. I want to be careful not to overstate this. Research on this specific compound and the kidneys is still early, and cauliflower alone won't lower your creatinine. But reducing underlying inflammation is one of the fundamental strategies for slowing kidney disease progression. And cauliflower is a genuinely safe, nutritious way to support that effort. There's one more benefit worth mentioning, tied to those frequent nighttime bathroom trips. Cauliflower is a source of choline, a nutrient that supports the tubular cells in your kidneys, the ones responsible for concentrating urine and reabsorbing water. When those cells don't function well, your kidneys produce larger volumes of more diluted urine, which can mean more trips out of bed at night. The research connecting dietary choline directly to this symptom is still developing, so I won't overpromise, but the underlying mechanism makes sense, and there's little downside to including cauliflower regularly. One of my favorite versions is kidney rice. Pulse raw cauliflower florets in a food processor until they resemble rice grains, then microwave for 2 to 3 minutes with no added water. Finish with fresh herbs, lemon juice, and a drizzle of olive oil. Roasting the florets at 400 Fahrenheit with tacha olive oil and garlic powder until golden is another easy option. The biggest mistake is grabbing frozen cauliflower already coated in cheese sauce. Check the label, since these often carry heavy sodium and phosphate additives. Stick with plain fresh or plain frozen cauliflower and season it yourself. This last one genuinely surprises people, including a few physicians who haven't kept up with recent kidney nutrition research. If you've been told to avoid all nuts because of kidney disease, here's why that blanket rule is becoming outdated. Most nuts really can be a problem. Just an ounce of almonds carries about 200 milligrams of potassium and 136 milligrams of phosphorus. A meaningful burden from both minerals at once for someone in stage 3 or 4. Macadamia nuts are different. An ounce, about 10 to 12 nuts, contains only around 104 milligrams of potassium and 53 milligrams of phosphorus, dramatically lower than nearly any other common nut. That shifts macadamias from a food to avoid into one many people can enjoy. They're also exceptionally rich in monounsaturated fat, particularly oleic acid, the same heart-healthy fat found in extra virgin olive oil. That matters for your kidneys as much as your heart, because kidney disease and cardiovascular disease travel together closely. In fact, someone with chronic kidney disease is statistically more likely to face a cardiovascular event than kidney failure itself. The same inflammation and vessel damage that hurts the kidneys also damages arteries throughout the body. Monounsaturated fats help lower harmful cholesterol and support the health of blood vessel linings. And healthier blood flow into the kidneys is exactly what those tiny filters need. There's early research suggesting these healthy fats may also help reduce the same protein leakage discussed earlier, while diets heavy in saturated fat may worsen it. Again, I don't want to overstate it, but the overall direction of the evidence has been consistent. Macadamias are also one of the few genuinely satisfying crunchy snacks for people managing both kidney disease and blood sugar, since they have minimal impact on glucose levels. Portion control matters. They're calorie dense. Stick to an ounce, about 10 to 12 nuts, and no more. Buy them raw and unsalted when you can. If raw isn't available, choose dry roasted with no added oil or salt. Skip flavored versions coated in caramel, chocolate, or sweet seasoning. These often carry added sugar, sodium, and phosphate additives. One habit I recommend often. Portion out 10 to 12 macadamia nuts, and in the afternoon pair them with 4 or 5 fresh red grapes, provided your potassium allowance allows it. That's a nourishing snack requiring almost no preparation. One last warning that has nothing to do with kidneys and everything to do with the dog at your feet. Macadamia nuts are toxic to dogs. Keep them well out of reach. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Walter, because his story is the reason I keep making content like this. Walter came to see me at 67. Over the prior couple of years, his creatinine had climbed steadily enough that his chart read stage 3, chronic kidney disease. Both his blood pressure and blood sugar had run high through much of his 60s. What he told me at that first visit is something I hear constantly. He felt fine, which made the lab numbers feel unfair. He'd leave every appointment with another prescription, but never a conversation about what was actually happening in his kitchen. He was up 3 times a night to urinate, hadn't told anyone, had quietly stopped traveling because of it, and carried the particular fear that comes from watching a number climb with no idea what to do about it. We focused on 2 things. First, he kept taking every medication his kidney specialist prescribed. Nutrition should never replace medical treatment. Second, we got intentional about what he ate between meals, using these same 5 snacks. He swapped his afternoon crackers for fresh red grapes and a small handful of macadamia nuts. He learned to leach a potato. His wife started making cauliflower rice. Over the following months, alongside his medication and regular labs, his numbers stabilized. I want to be careful with my words here because this is where people often overpromise. His creatinine didn't return to normal. It simply stopped climbing and held steady. His blood pressure improved. His nighttime bathroom trips dropped from 3 a night to 1. But what he told me he valued most wasn't the lab results. It was finally feeling like an active participant in protecting his kidneys, instead of standing by and watching them decline. I'll also be honest about the other version of this story, because I've seen it too many times. Someone hears all of this, means to make changes, and never quite gets around to it, then returns a year later with worse numbers and fewer options. The difference between these two outcomes is rarely about willpower and almost never about money. Usually, it's simply that one person made one small change this week while it was still fresh, and the other waited for a someday that never arrived. Every one of these 5 foods works by reducing the workload placed on your kidney filters. That's the whole secret, and once it clicks, you'll never look at your plate the same way. The egg whites cut down the waste your kidneys have to clear. The grapes and cauliflower help calm the inflammation that scars those filters over time. The macadamia nuts help protect the blood vessels feeding your kidneys. And every preparation method we've covered, leaching, cooking without salt, choosing whole fruit over juice, is designed to keep potassium, phosphorus, and sodium from piling up in a system that can no longer clear them efficiently. That should change how you think about your creatinine number. You've probably been told it's simply a measure of damage already done, almost a verdict. But it's also an ongoing reflection of how hard you're asking your kidneys to work right now, and that part has your fingerprints on it 3 times a day. You didn't develop kidney disease through carelessness. At this stage of life, it's usually the result of decades of blood pressure, blood sugar, and blood vessel changes that began long before you had any reason to think about them. But the workload your kidneys carry starting today is something you can influence. No prescription required. Start with a short grocery list. Fresh red grapes, a carton of eggs or liquid egg whites, a couple of potatoes, 1 head of cauliflower, and a small bag of raw unsalted macadamia nuts. That's the whole list. Pick just one snack to start with, not all 5. The person who tries to change everything by Monday usually changes nothing by Friday. The easiest place to begin is swapping your usual afternoon snack for half a cup of fresh red grapes and a few macadamia nuts. Learn to leach a potato this week. It's the one skill here almost nobody has ever taught you, and it hands back a food you may have thought was gone for good. Cut salt out of how you prepare all of these. Lean on herbs, fresh lemon juice, and a little olive oil instead, and read labels carefully for sodium and the word phosphate, and keep every appointment with your kidney specialist. Keep getting your labs. Know your own numbers: creatinine, GFR, potassium, phosphorus. These snacks are meant to work alongside your medical care, never in place of it if you're living with stage 4 or 5 kidney disease, or you've ever been told your potassium runs high. Please don't overhaul your diet based on a video alone, including this one. In advanced kidney disease, potassium and protein intake need to be tailored precisely to your kidney function, and too much potassium can be genuinely dangerous for your heart. Bring this information to your kidney specialist or a registered renal dietitian, and build your own version of this plan together. A creatinine number that keeps rising isn't something you simply have to accept. Tonight, you've been handed 5 practical, affordable foods you can find in almost any grocery store, 5 real ways to ease the burden on the tiny filters that have worked for you every minute of your life, and now you know exactly how to prepare each one. Your kidneys have been working for you since before you were born without ever asking for thanks. Tonight, it's your turn to work for them.